Good afternoon, Patriot pals. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day and God bless you. Let's get into the news. Wait until you see how the woke media is responding to the firing of a top FBI official from Twitter. Elon Musk continues to change the world by transforming the largest instant messaging platform on the planet. The latest bombshell that come out of Twitter is the canning of a top FBI official who ended up as a Twitter employee. Now, if you don't know, this is all a continuation what's been called the Twitter files. As we've been reporting, the first of what Elon Musk is calling the Twitter files was revealed over the weekend. Elon made the first dump of emails and internal communications within Twitter available to Substack journalist Matt Taibbi, who published them in a thread of just over 40 tweets revealing the inner workings of how Twitter employees, Democratic politicians and deep state, particularly FBI operatives, colluded together to inordinately affect the outcome of the 2020 election by deliberately suppressing the New York Post Hunter Biden laptop bombshell that exploded on the scene in October that year. Now, what's so fascinating in all of this is that very suppression once again reared its ugly head in the rollout of the Twitter files themselves. We report on the revelation of a top FBI official, a lawyer who was pushing Twitter to bury the Hunter Biden story. And this was not just any FBI lawyer. This was an FBI lawyer who's behind the whole Trump-Russia, Spygate fabrication, and FBI lawyer who's deliberately trying to remove Trump from office. He actively advised Twitter to bury the Hunter Biden revelation right before the election's fellow by the name of James Baker. He's a familiar name precisely because of his active involvement in the Russian collusion hoax, and what Matt Taibbi just revealed yesterday is that it turns out that Baker, who again was still a Twitter employee as of the dropping of the Twitter files, he actively, quote, vetted the information from the internal documents and emails before it got to Matt Taibbi. So the Twitter files that we read were redacted. They were edited. And they were edited by a fellow who was intimately involved in the hoax that tried to remove Trump from office, and on top of that, he did it all without the knowledge of Elon Musk. Again, in a thread of tweets entitled Twitter File Supplemental, Taibbi revealed that Baker basically scrubbed the emails and internal documents before Taibbi was able to see them, and again, this without the knowledge or approval of Elon Musk. So needless to say, Baker has been fired. He's been escorted out of the building, and as part of Elon continued fumigating of the woke left infestation of Twitter. In fact, Musk revealed that he confronted Baker on what he did and then added that he found his explanation unconvincing. Now, that did not sit well with the woke medium. The leftist activists disguised as journalists were besides themselves upon hearing about this. Again, you've got to let this hit you. Objective evidence revealing collusion between the FBI, the Democrats, and Twitter employees to deliberately interfere in the integrity of a presidential election is a huge story. But they don't care. And they don't care precisely because they were part of the story. The legacy media push, they champion the 51 so-called intelligence experts that declared the Hunter Biden laptop as nothing more than Russian disinformation. They knew they were lying. So the media was actually all part of this corruption, and so it's no surprise that they've become absolutely desperate in trying to gaslight this whole thing. Mike Masnick responded to Matt Taibbi his tweet. Matt had said that his jaw hit the floor when he found out that Jim Baker was, quote, reviewing the internal documents. And this is what he wrote, quote, look, if your jaw hits the floor when you find out that one of the company's senior lawyers is reviewing documents that are being handed over to journalists in an act of self-sabotage by the company's owner, CEO, well, then, you're not a good journalist. I mean, seriously, it was just a senior lawyer at the company. Nothing to see here, just a senior lawyer, right, who was knee-deep in the Russian collusion hoax to take down Donald Trump, and he reportedly advised Twitter employees to suppress the Hunter Biden bombshell. He's not just a lawyer, for heaven's sakes, talk about a sin by omission. Moreover, you reviewed the documents without Musk's permission, dude. So this is an utterly cringe-worthy attempt of gaslighting. And then we have Melissa Ryan, whose stated purpose to combat disinformation extremism took a little bit of a turn here. She tweeted out, the invite and extension. Musk is basically inciting harassment and potentially against another former Twitter employee. An employee was apparently only just fired. There you go. The old speech's violence excuse again, it's used as a cover, a diversion to evade having to deal with the corruption that was actually revealed. Ben Collins of NBC News for some reason had to chime in here. He tweeted, Melissa right. He retweeted Melissa Ryan's post and said, quote, Elon team is just creating new main characters for Fox News to accuse a treason by implying they did some sort of high crime but never actually saying what the crime is. This is about creating pariahs to launch a mob against in order to ironically suppress their speech. So now we have a bona fide conspiracy theory. According to Collins of NBC News, Elon Musk and Matt Taibbi are conspiring to formally accuse people of treason in order to launch a mob against them. The funny thing about such an accusation, it's rooted in far less evidence, in fact, no evidence at all than what the Twitter files revealed. But again, these lamestream media hooked they don't care. But Collins wasn't finished, he continued his rant quote, "You'll remember this from Hillary's emails, Podesta, emails, Benghazi, WikiLeaks, it's the constant insinuation that secret emails must be nefarious because they're not public. It allows right-wing influencers to project whatever they want into the secret email mystery box. Previously, private citizens were collateral damage in these sorts of info war campaigns, but now private citizens appear to be the very target of them. Random people inside a company they can blame for societal change. They don't like citing an email they think is to neolib. Yeah. Hillary's emails, Benghazi your do you really want to go there button? But once again, right, just a private citizen here gang. That's all Jim Baker is nothing to see here move on just a private citizen. Right. Just trying to do his work is totally harmless work that has no national implications whatsoever. I mean, these people are beyond belief. And this is some big news. The left and man is what I'm about to show you guys pure leftist hypocrisy to get again another clip that didn't exactly age well, but it just goes to show the double standard issues and concerns that people may have are only legitimate if those people happen to vote Democrat. That seems to be the standard here. Scandals are only scandals. If said scandal involves Republicans, if it's Democrats, well, then it's justified or there's nuance or it's just a distraction. There's an MSNBC clip with host, Ari Melber, from back in April 2022. So a few months ago, where he's warning of the dangers of Elon Musk's potential Twitter takeover. And if you take that clip, if you take what he's saying in that clip, and you apply it to current day, and honestly, even if you apply it to the context of the day, it shows a couple of things: the absolutely disgusting dishonesty of the media, the double standards, and it's a clip that really, and I mean, really has not aged well. Let's continue to cover leftist hypocrisy and leftist double standards. We got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. Alright, folks. So everything that we now know about Twitter, although frankly, it's everything we've known about Twitter, which is now being confirmed by the transparency now available to us, thanks to Elon Musk. Well, knowing all that, let me ask you, how do you feel about MSNBC on the 25th of April 2022 saying this, he says. You own all of Twitter or Facebook or what have you. You don't have to explain yourself, you don't even have to be transparent, you could secretly ban one party's candidate or all of its candidates, all of its nominees. Or you could just secretly turn down the reach of their stuff and turn up the reach of something else. And the rest of us might not even find out about it till after the election. Elon Musk says this is all to help people because he is just a free speech, philosophically clear, open-minded helper. Okay, I mean, it's literally not possible to have such a lack of self-awareness. No one is ever going to convince me that these MSNBC fools are genuinely this dumb or this ignorant. They do it on purpose. Not only was that a disingenuous segment back then, but as you obviously have already gathered, it seriously didn't age well, because now we know that what he's warning about Elon Musk potentially censoring information ahead of an election and censoring the Democrat side is exactly what's been happening at Twitter for the last however many years to conservatives, and we have the receipts and you see the double standard dochia according to MSNBC. The threat of Elon Musk buying Twitter is a real threat to our democracy. What if you start censoring left-wingers ahead of an election? Meanwhile, I mean, come on. They'll report on this make-believe suppose a threat of them being censored for their political beliefs in election seasons, and just in general being disproportionately censored. But when it's been actually proven that it's been happening involving a mass conspiracy between the FBI, the DNC and the Twitter platform, as well as other social media platforms, they don't even report on the phenomenon. You know, people are gonna say that there's no left-wing bias in the media. I mean, excuse me, not only is there a left-wing bias, but it's near criminal. I remember us talking about turning down the reach of their stuff. I don't know if you guys noticed, but ever since Elon Musk bought Twitter, all of a sudden, I'm getting 10 times more interaction on my tweets than ever before. All of a sudden, my Twitter feed isn't promoting me random left-wing and nonsense. All of a sudden, the trending tab seems to be promoting what's actually trending and up bogus hit piece articles by all the left-wing networks and publications. Let's talk about turning people's reach down. There have clearly been algorithms put in place to suppress conservative thought on the platform. There has clearly been a concerted effort to deep-platform and deep-person conservative commentators and thought leaders, and there has certainly been an effort to censor information that's bad for Democrats ahead of elections while promoting information that's bad for Republicans ahead of elections, regardless of whether or not that information was legitimate. The Hunter Biden story was suppressed even though it was obvious that it was not only pertinent, but it was authentic, and every network, even the left-wing networks, now have to admit that so authentic information was banned, labeled hack materials and Russian disinformation, and straight-up fabricated garbage about Donald Trump was promoted to millions upon millions of low information, malleable voters stuff like Donald Trump insulted World War II veterans during his trip to a war memorial in France. Let's not forget the Russian bounties on American soldiers' head hoax that supposedly Donald Trump ignored because it just wasn't all that relevant to him. The Russia scandal, which persisted for 4 years straight, promoting straight up a phony total garbage misinformation. And of course, that's just scratching the surface. The list goes on and on and on. And here's Ari Melber, now essentially sounding like a conservative, except here's the difference. There is no evidence to suggest that there's a conspiracy or an effort, a campaign to censor left-wing figures or left-wing thought. It's just not happening. What Elon Musk is doing on Twitter is adding balance to the scale. And that to leftists is outrageous, because they believe in their minds that it's not fair. Unless the system is rigged, or the system is unfair to conservatives, they truthfully believe that their ideas shouldn't be promoted and conservative ideas are nasty and evil and should be demoted and deplatformed. And clearly, what we're seeing here is a little bit of panic at the idea that they might be losing control over the flow of information, or in this case, I guess, the flow of propaganda, and that's exactly what's happening. MSNBC is friggin' losing their minds as they continue to push this unhinged conspiracy theory. And in this case, it really is an unhinged conspiracy theory. It sure seems like Elon Musk is purging left-leaning Twitter accounts. Musk isn't the champion of free speech that he claims he is. Elon Musk has presented his brief tenure as the CEO of Twitter as a bid to revive free speech on the platform, but there are signs that he is quietly suspending left-leaning Twitter accounts for ideological reasonings while reinstating far-right accounts that broke Twitter's rules in the past, and now I'm not even going to continue already. You can see how dishonest they're being totally disingenuous. Elon Musk has reinstated all accounts. He's reinstated Kathy Griffin alongside other individuals, most of the high-profile people who were deplatformed. If not more than 90% of them were right-wing, saying that their far-right accounts first of all is absolutely despicable and slanderous, but the reason he's reinstating more right-wing accounts as opposed to left-wing accounts is because, as we know, Twitter has been utterly biased in their censorship and deplatforming practices, not to mention Elon Musk's general amnesty, which reinstated basically everyone that was suspended, kind of resetting the platform unless you got suspended for something truly egregious. So clearly their framing of this whole situation is totally dishonest. But the point that they're trying to make here, that Elon Musk's Twitter is now banning left-leaning accounts for ideological reasons, you won't believe what they're talking about. They're talking about Antifa accounts. Musk has suspended several notable left-wing accounts over the past week or so. A number of them were anti-fascist researchers and organizers who focused on documenting far-right activity. They're writing this article in defense of far-left anti-fascist extremists, suppose of anti-fascist researchers and organizers who focused on documenting far-right activity but who also were issuing straight-up calls to violence and casually lobbying death threats on the platform. How would that pesky Elon Musk, his political agenda is showing he's banning Antifa accounts who are breaking the law? You see what I mean? What I was saying earlier, I could not be this dishonest if I tried everything they say is choreographed and calculated in a way to be unfair towards conservatives and constantly play defense for the left side. And it's not just little isolated situations here and there. It permeates essentially the entire world of journalism. All of the mainstream outlets, except for a few outliers, and regular people who aren't involved in politics, don't even know exists. The mainstream media is a racket. A corrupt left-wing DNC racket, and MSNBC and NBC are probably the worst offenders. Thank you very much. WWG1WGA. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button to watch the next episode.